Hi YouTube, I used to have lots of LEGO Star Wars minifigures, but quite a few years back I sold them to buy, believe it or not, a pet armadillo. So I had no LEGO Star Wars figures again, and then I started to recollect them back about 6 months ago, and I built this cabinet for them. I'll put a link at the end of this video because I've done another video on how to make this particular cabinet. But yeah, 6 months ago I didn't have anywhere near as many figures as I've got now. And I just thought I'd do this video just to show you how my collection is coming along really. So I play around with the order of the figures quite a lot. I'm always kind of changing it and I'm never quite happy with the order that I've put them in. But the main thing is that the shelves have kind of filled up now and the whole cabinet is looking nice and full. I put a lot of the larger creatures along this top back shelf. So you've got Rancor Monster, Jabba the Hutt, Max Rebo, just because his little thing that he sits in takes up a bit more space. Hoth Wampa, Taunton, a Cadoo, a Dewback, and then on the end we've got a Raftar as well. There are some other bigger creatures, but I've mounted those on the lid and I'll show you those separately. So there are literally thousands of LEGO Star Wars minifigures, and you see some people with collections on YouTube and the figures take up like walls and walls of their house. And sometimes, it's just variations of figures. I've got, a few where you've got a couple that are like the old version and the new version or something like that. But some people can have, dozens of figures that all look really similar to each other with just very slight variations. And I didn't want to go down that route because, well, I've got too many other things that I collect. So I just wanted to have this very small contained unit with just a select group of Star Wars Lego minifigures that I really like, my sort of personal favourite ones. I haven't counted exactly how many's in here, but it must be somewhere between 300 or 400. So quite a few still. And what I've noticed is, although I've got them standing in these rows, there is a sort of gap between each row where you could actually slot in other figures behind and make other rows up. So if there were some in the future that I really love, I have still got space to slot a few more in. Although LEGO make a whole range of really good Star Wars spaceships and vehicles, I didn't want to go down that route either because a lot of them just take up way too much space. So I just wanted these figures because they're so small and they can be fit so neatly into this kind of small space. I buy most of my figures either on eBay, look out for bargains, or I go to car boot sales and get them. At one point I did go to a car boot sale and a lady had a massive box of Lego and she said mixed in there somewhere is the Lego Death Star. And I got it home and I thought to myself, don't try and make the Lego Death Star, don't try and make the Lego Death Star. And then I made the mistake of looking for the instructions online, found the instructions for the Death Star, and then of course you look at page 1 and it's like, oh, these first couple of bits you put together, and then you look in your box and you go, oh, there's those 2 bits. And then before you know it, you start joining all the bits together, and it took me forever just because, if you were making the Death Star anyway, it would take a little bit of time, but that would just be all the parts that were especially for the Death Star. This had loads of other bits mixed in as well, so I had to kind of sort through everything to find all the bits. But I made up the Death Star, and again, it's quite a big item, so I didn't really want to keep it after I'd made it, and I put it on eBay, and I think I, got like 300 quid for it or something, so it was pretty good, but it was a lot of effort to build it. If you visited my channel before, you might have seen that a lot of the videos are about my 80s toy collections, because I've basically collected back a lot of the things that I owned when I was a kid. I did have most of the Kenner Star Wars figures, the original ones, and then when I was at college I ended up collecting back just the last ones that I needed to make up the entire set. And I always loved those, and so when the Lego figures came out that are like mini versions of them, I couldn't resist starting to collect them. I do sort of like the fact that Lego make you wait a little bit to sort of keep you guessing what they're going to bring out, because there are quite a few of the original Kenner Star Wars figures that haven't been made as Lego versions yet. I'm still waiting for like a Man and Yak Face, maybe like a blue snaggletooth, that kind of thing. So they will probably do versions of them eventually, but they keep you waiting and they bring out these other figures in the meantime, and you sort of get interested in them and end up buying a few extras that you probably wouldn't have done otherwise. I'm hoping they'll bring out a size Snootles at some point and maybe a Joe Yowzer as well. I really like all the unusual looking creatures. They've always been my favourite. Even when I had all the Kenner Star Wars figures, it was always the weird little creatures that I loved way more than anything that looked like a human. You might have noticed that almost every figure in here has got the correct parts, the correct weapons and the correct heads and everything, but you'll probably spot the odd one or two where the head is wrong still at the moment. Like there's a couple now on your screen you can see. And I'll just replace those every so often when I find the correct head that I need. One of the things I love most about collecting these is going to car boot sales and finding absolutely massive tubs of Lego, getting them for pretty cheap, bringing them home and then just tipping them out on the floor and just having a good old rummage through. Sometimes you find there are no minifigures in there whatsoever. That's really disappointing. But other times there are literally dozens and dozens of Star Wars Lego minifigures, and you can just match up all the heads and bodies and legs and, find all the little weapons and things. And, it's great when you find some that you haven't got and you can add them to your collection. Other times, you find that you've got them all already, which is really nice about, having a collection like this where you've got most of the main figures now. And any duplicates, I can just, put them straight on eBay and actually make some money from it, which is pretty cool as well. Did you notice that we just went past Armadillo and he had the wrong head? That's another one that I still need to replace at some point. I haven't managed to find it yet. So I'm really chuffed with how this cabinet has turned out. If you come into our living room, it basically just looks like a wooden toy chest. But then what's really nice about it is that obviously you can open the lid and there's lots of things mounted on the lid. And then you've got all these shelves with all the little figures on. And also, the front opens up as well, like the door at the front opens. And then that's got all of the sort of droids and things on it as well. So you've got this kind of cool visual impact when you first open it. Doesn't look like it's going to contain as much as it does. I did accidentally end up collecting a whole load of other Lego minifigures at one point, because when I was getting them all from the car boot sale and picking them out of, mixed lots of Lego, I did end up collecting like the Simpsons figures and SpongeBob SquarePants, Toy Story, the Lego minifigure series, Marvel figures, that kind of thing. So it's easy to accidentally collect Lego figures as well. I ended up selling those off, which I slightly regret now, but car boot sale season is about to start up again, so I may end up sort of accidentally collecting them back again. I really enjoy collecting these Lego minifigures. I think part of it is the thrill of the hunt, like looking on eBay, trying to find a real good cheap bargain, or, getting lucky at the car boot sale. That's a big part of it, but I also collect these as an investment because I've looked at them on eBay and stuff over the years, and a lot of them have, really gone up in price. And I am absolutely rubbish at saving money. If I get any money, I'll spend it on something. So I don't tend to kind of accumulate money in the bank. I'm pretty rubbish at that. So I'd rather kind of put it into something like this that I know is going to go up in value, and then just kind of sit on it. And then if it comes to it, like when I needed to buy my pet armadillo, I can just sell them at that point and, have a nice good chunk of money that I can use for a rainy day for something important potentially. I did think to myself, what if I ended up wanting to collect even more of these? And what if I filled in all of the gaps, in between the various rows, and I didn't have any more space on the shelves? What would I do? And then I had this sudden thought that actually, they're on these kind of angled shelves, but there's a big space underneath them. There's a big gap. And I did think you could kind of cut a hole in the side of the cabinet, and you could do like another row of angled shelving that goes in underneath them that just kind of slides out from the side. So that is, a potential thing I could do in the future if I wanted to, but I don't think I will want to. I think I'll, fill this up and then call it a day. So we're just about to come to the end of the main bulk of figures that are in the middle of the cabinet, but I'll show you what I mean about the door on this thing as well. The door is at the front and just opens up to the side here. So this is where I keep a lot of the droids. On the top row here I've got all the sort of R2 units, and then on the next row down there's all the battle droids and, you know, a lot of the assassin droids and that sort of thing. Yeah, if you're watching this video and you're a bit like me, you grew up in the 80s, check out some of my other videos because it'll be a nice sort of nostalgic trip for some of you. I basically try to collect back everything that I owned when I was a kid. So I've got my Kenner Star Wars figures, but I've got Ghostbusters, Thundercats, the little miniature Thundercats, He-Man, Mad Balls. Do you remember those where their sort of heads like fly off, little grotesque heads? Battle Beast with the little rubs. You know, you rub them and the little sign comes up. Little muscle figures, Rock Lords where they look, yeah, basically like Transformers, but they turn into rocks. GoBots and Super GoBots, Egg Monsters, again like Transformers, but they turn into eggs. You've got Zoids, Tomy robots. I've got pretty much all the Tomy robots. Sectors, you know, with the glove puppets where it looks like a spider, that kind of thing. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Fabuland, and I've got Gnarlies as well. I'm still not entirely sure why I have this urge to buy back everything that I owned as a child, but I think it's because I must have had a really nice childhood and these things just bring back really fond memories for me. I was always one of those kids that used to just take little toys around with me wherever I went, and it would just be whatever was my favourite one at the time, but I'd always have to carry something around. So as well as all the figures and things that I just mentioned, I did also collect back things like erasers and pencil tops and badges and key rings and magnets and all that kind of thing. So I've put videos of those on YouTube as well, so check those out if you get a chance. Also, remember how I said that I sold my original Star Wars Lego minifigures to buy a pet armadillo? He's called Herbie, and I've put quite a few videos of him on YouTube as well, so yeah, check those out as well if you want. Right, we're just coming up to the end of the droids and things that are on this door. And again, I might rearrange some of these in the future, but for now, they seem in a pretty good order. I'm pretty pleased with how these are looking. And then I'm just going to move and just show you the Sarlacc pit that I've got on the side. You might have noticed this earlier. If you haven't seen this before, it's quite cool because it's got a little sort of mechanism in it. So when you pull one of these tentacles, the jaw sort of opens and closes. Pretty cool. It's not particularly a good way for me to show you here right in front of the camera lens, but hopefully that gives you the rough idea. And then, yeah, moving on to the lid. So you've got the earlier version of Jabba the Hutt here, and also the earlier version of a Dewback next to him. There's a couple of Dianoga, you know, the trash compactor creatures. I always want to call those Minocs, but they're not. There was a Minoc, you might have spotted him earlier. Then you've got this Pterodactyl Boga here. That's quite a big creature. And then there's the Black Rattar on the end. So that shows you my whole collection so far. Like I say, I will add a few here and there to it, but it's getting there. It's pretty much complete. So this is how the front closes. Just kind of clips in. There's a little magnet that keeps it, you know, stuck on, and then the lid just folds down, and you just end up with this really neat little box. And yeah, nobody knows what's in it, you know, when they come round, and I can choose whether or not I want to show them. Right, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos if you get a chance. Hit subscribe to see anything that I post in the future, and I'll catch you in the next video.